Thank you, Chair Golden and members of the committee, and thank you to Senators Lynch, Prada, and Satchel and the other sponsors for introducing this legislation. I think Senator Lynch, Prada might be stopping in to say something, but we'll get started. My name is James Crowley, and I'm an attorney at the Conservation Law Foundation. We are a nonprofit environmental advocacy organization that works to protect the environment and public health throughout New England, and that includes working to protect against dangerous emerging contaminants like Pfas. We've been working in all 6 New England states to try to get standards set for Pfas in drinking water. I've submitted written testimony, so I just want to highlight a few important points. Pfas are a class of chemicals that have been used in consumer products in the United States for decades. They're in nonstick cookware, Scotchgard, stain-resistant clothing, firefighting foam, and things like food packaging. In short, they're everywhere. And as a result, every person in this room has some measurable level of Pfas in their blood. Pfas chemicals have been described as a public health perfect storm because, number one, they're found in all kinds of products that we use every day. Number two, they're extremely persistent in the environment and in our bodies. In other words, they take a very long time to break down. And number three, they pose risks to human health even in very small amounts, in the parts per trillion. From early on, chemical manufacturers were aware of risks, but they prioritized profit over public health, and only in the past couple of decades have the public and regulators begun to understand the scope of the problem. EPA has been slow to act on PFAS, but states are taking action to protect their residents. Several states in the Northeast, including Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, and New Jersey, have set or proposed PFAS drinking water standards. Rhode Island currently has no regulations in place to address PFAS in drinking or surface waters, which is why the bill before you is so critically important. PFAS chemicals have been detected in drinking water, groundwater, and surface waters throughout Rhode Island. They've been found in levels that neighboring states have already declared unsafe in drinking water systems, serving 14 of Rhode Island's cities and towns, including Coventry, Middletown, Cumberland, Exeter, Newport, Burrillville, Pawtucket, South Kingstown, Westerly, and North Providence. In Foster, North Smithfield, Scituate, and Gloucester, these elevated levels have been detected in school water systems. Other towns like Warwick and North Kingstown have experienced groundwater contamination that luckily hasn't gotten into the drinking water. And despite all of these detections, tens of thousands of Rhode Islanders still drink water from systems that haven't been tested at all. So what does this bill do about that? First and foremost, it sets a drinking water standard that would protect public health. It sets the level of 20 parts per trillion for 6 of the most common and well-studied PFAS compounds, which is what's been proposed in Massachusetts. And also similar to the Vermont standard, which is 5 PFAS at 20 parts per trillion. The overall bill before you is modeled very closely on a bill that was signed into law in Vermont last year. Setting a drinking water standard is key to making sure that you and all your constituents know that the water coming from their taps is safe. This bill represents a meaningful set of protections for Rhode Island's people and waters, and we ask that you support its passage. And I also briefly want to discuss the food packaging bill, which is 2068. While it's important to protect Rhode Islanders from PFAS that's already out in the environment, we also need to work to stop it from getting into the environment in the first place. When PFAS-contaminated packaging or food is discarded, whether it's thrown away, composted, littered, the PFAS it contains makes its way into the soil, the air, and the water. And we ask that you support S2068 and help to eliminate one of the pathways of exposure.
Bless you.
Thanks very much for your time, and I'm happy to respond to any questions.